It is Thursday, and that means it's time to get a take on the news from the left, right, and middle. From the left, Arise News contributor Wallace Ford. He's a political blogger and professor at Medgar Evers College. And from the right is the inimitable Horace Cooper. He is a legal commentator and fellow at the National Center for Policy. Hello, gentlemen.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Yes, this is the first time we've been together in the new year. So let's get started. Of course, here in New York City, there has been a lot of controversy and discussion about the rift between the mayor of New York, Bill de Blasio, and the Patrolmen's Benevolence Association, the union, basically, for the police officers here. So much so that on a couple of occasions, police officers have turned their back when Bill de Blasio was at an event or in the room. And there's been a lot of rhetoric and blustering being thrown back and forth. So here's my question. It's very simple. Should law enforcement be obligated to support the city's leadership, particularly the mayor? Horace, I'll start with you.
Well, they're not obligated to do that. They're more able to exercise the same free speech rights that anyone else has. Their responsibility is to do the job that they're being paid to do. Now, if the actions that they're taking are annoying to the mayor, it's his job to exercise some leadership so that he can turn that around. But in terms of saying you disrespect me, you don't like me, he can't make them do that, and he shouldn't be allowed to.
And what do you have to say?
Well, I think, you know, the point that we're talking about is that what does support mean? If we're talking about the support of the policies, political support, certainly police and no public employees have an obligation to do that. However, as Horace was saying, they do have an obligation to do their job, and the statistics that those of us who are living here in New York are seeing are really quite frightening, that the police have actually stopped doing their job in terms of arrests, in terms of summons, in terms of tickets, and a number of law enforcement activities that we come to expect. Now, so far, we haven't seen some tremendous effect out of this, but what I'm concerned about, and what everybody living in New York City is concerned about, is that there's a corrosive effect to non-enforcement. Now, they can have differences with the mayor all they want, okay? I remember when I was a commissioner with New York City several years ago that the police actually had a riot in front of City Hall with then candidate Rudolph Giuliani leading that riot against Mayor Dinkins at that point. But you know, to their credit, they still enforced the law in the city. We're seeing there's going to come a point where we're going to see some real impact from the blue flu, they call it, and we've got to be worried about that.
So there's not much distance between your two perspectives, but let me ask you this, just a simple opinion question, and that is, do you think it was in poor taste for some police officers to turn their back during the memorial service of the fallen police officers just last week? What do you think, Wallace?
I think, you know, poor taste doesn't begin to describe what we're talking about here. I think Police Commissioner Bratton said it correctly, which is that the funeral was a time for grieving, not for grievances. And there's plenty of times when they can exercise their right of free speech. Although when you're wearing the uniform, that's a different kind of job in any event. But I thought that was extremely poor taste and just total disrespect, not only to the mayor, who represents the people of the city of New York, by the way, but also to the families of the deceased police officers.
Do you see it any differently,
Shameful.
I say it slightly different. I am in agreement that the emphasis ought to be on honoring and acknowledging the sadness of the family, and that we don't want to do things to take away from it. But America is built on the idea that you get to walk right up to the mayor, regardless of who you are, or the president, or the senator, or any of your elected leaders. And if you really want to do something coarse, like give them the finger, that's exactly what our country is excited about letting you be able to do. And in a lot of countries, that's not even an option. So I'm not worried about the turning their back, but like the professor, I am concerned a little bit about the timing of that. I wouldn't have done it during a funeral.
All right, and can I just add from the center, I wouldn't recommend anybody flip a bird to the police officer. They might not have a desired effect, although we do have the freedom in this country to do that. All right, we're just down to a minute or so, so let's get a quick analysis from the both of you. There is now no question that our economy is stronger, that it is improving and steadily improving. Can President Obama take credit for it? Horace, briefly, I'll start with you.
Sure. If the cock crows and the economy looks great, the chicken gets to take credit for it. But the truth of the matter here is it's only because his policies haven't been allowed to carry out that the extensive downturn that could have continued hasn't occurred, and the economy is finally getting a chance to breathe. But he's the president. I'm sure he'll take credit for it.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you quoted your hero Mitt Romney with that cock crows routine. But here's the facts. The economy for the United States, for Canada, and most of Europe sank back in 2008 and 2009. The one economy that has risen the most since then has been what? The United States economy. So you look at the stimulus package. You look excuse me. You look at the stimulus package. You look at the saving of the auto industry, and if you think that's just a fluke, you ask the workers in Ohio and in Pennsylvania and in Michigan whether or not that made a difference in their lives and all the people who depend upon them. But you go
the
on
Mexican economy and the Canadian economy
Horace,
grew at a far faster rate
finish
than the U.S. economy.
Well, actually, I'm going to have to interrupt both of you, gentlemen, because we are out of time.
One economy
for this
rose,
week.
the rest
Happy
of them
New Year.
are not there yet. Okay, and Happy New Year to you,
Next week is another
Horace.
Thursday. Horace Cooper, Wallace Ford, thank you, gentlemen, so much. Okay. And you are watching Arise America.